Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure of being your host this evening. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the show. 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 The show.
Introduction, this is it. Yeah, let's do the introduction. Fuck it. Yo, what's up? This is Sol Dout with Waking Up with Sol Dout or Wake Up with Sol Dout or some shit like that. I haven't figured it out yet. Let's just say Wake Up with Sol Dout. I'm Sol Dout. This is Lucky.
I'm Sol Dout.
Yep. And
Aaron Bandera, what's going on?
Aaron Bandera. Is that like an action hero name or what?
I'll tell you guys because you guys know me. We're personal, right? It's my middle name and the street I grew up on.
If he was an actor, that'd be one else.
It goes well, right?
I like it.
The phoneme Aaron Bandera is like a cyclical.
Yeah, I like it too, man.
Nice ring too.
I'm kind of mad that I only came up with Sol Dout.
I feel special. Don't make me feel special. I'll take over this. No, I'm just kidding.
Take over. Okay. All right, so first episode of the podcast with two individuals. Know these guys pretty much my whole entire life, well, up until middle school and
Parts that count,
yeah, the parts that count, middle school and whatnot. So what I want to do with this podcast is talk about different issues, social issues, political, social, anything really is on the table as far as I'm concerned. But I got a couple rules. One, if we debate, it's got to be clean. That means we're not clowning each other, stuff like that. We keep it about the topic. Other thing is that say whatever you want to, man. You don't have to cater to anybody. This is like a non-political show. You know, we all have different backgrounds with that. You know, I know for me, I'm an atheist. I am an anarchist, so I really don't believe in much of anything. And these two are not. So we're gonna butt heads a lot. And that's great. So yeah, so it's not going to be catering to one thing or another. So, and there's no hero worship in here. Like, anybody that's that we see on TV, historical or whatever, on the table, we can do what we got to do. I mean, like.
So, in other words, we've come to this round table. Well, not even round, just the table in general, with an open mind.
It's totally rectangular, by the way.
And so, we're about to have that.
All right, so. First subject that I want to discuss with you guys, and I had you guys take a look at some material that I had about race and IQ.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think that's really damaging to a lot of folks in terms of like viewing somebody based off of that IQ and like putting them in the box already. Like for example, if you guys ever seen it before, and I'll show you guys back at home what it looks like. Essentially, what you have is there's a bell curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what it shows is like essentially Caucasians are straight up in the middle. It's all based, everything is Eurocentric. Of course, we all seen that before, like history and how everything works out. So they're straight up in the middle. So everything's based off of where they are based off of that test. You shift over to the right, on the higher level, you'll have Asian. They're in that section. And below that, you'll have Hispanics. And then below that, you'll have blacks. And they're very specific about that. It's African American blacks, not like Africans and stuff like that too. So that's a whole different thing too. So I did present you guys with the information. I know I have a whole lot of talking points that I had for it. I've been preparing this for months, but I do want to hear you guys take on it. What did you guys think about that information?
Well, I mean, one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that, the accuracy of the test that was being done, and how far back that these tests have been, I guess, taken this entire time throughout our history. And then just like you stated, what they did test on are African American, Black Americans, so to say, here in America, opposed to African Americans. So then that would led me to believe that the tests are just Western tests. Just standardized Western tests. It's done here.
For the most part,
Me, how I looked at it, I'll be honest with you, it hit where to where it basically it's kind of like it triggered me. Because I don't believe in those type of tests because I do not feel like those measure an individual's creativity. You know,
it's not the whole person.
Right, it's not the whole individual. And to say that those tests are measures of your adequacy of who you are is bullshit to me.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, not to go too far in depth, but that's what I grasped from it. You know, to say one race is more superior than the other, it is a bunch of malarkey. I feel like you should judge an individual by an individual itself, you know.
But that takes time, and a lot of people don't care, or they have an agenda.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't have an agenda, the way that these tests, I mean, with me, I work in the clinical field, and I've given several, neuropsych tests, all of them standardized. And in them, you can open up the examiner's manual. They have the standardization, like how they got it, the breakdown of the people they got. They try to have like equal based on the population.
Yeah.
But it still ends up being, biased because it's so like based on like vocabulary and answering the question and answer type of thing that tests do. Just like SATs and all that stuff. I was never a good test taker. Once I got to college, I was on Dean's List and all this stuff, and I was still a big procrastinator. Everything was like this didn't say how smart I was or anything like that, and none of these tests do. So, and I noticed that even when giving the test, sometimes I'm like, I'm giving these assessments to kids, and of course there's all different backgrounds and everything, but it's like sometimes even though it changes, it's no longer the reliability they call it is off if you don't say it the exact way the instructions are given. But sometimes I'm like, a kid won't understand sometimes if you say put this bear in back of you rather than say, hey, put it behind you, to learn those directional preposition type words, for example. So just something like the language that is used sometimes can make it biased. You know what I mean?
It makes sense. And for me, when I looked at that test, when I looked at how people were using that test to put people in a certain box, I mean, that's the problem that I have with that. Like, so, a lot of people that I looked at on the YouTube videos that want to use that as a way to weaponize, like, how they want to treat people and what kind of box do you want to put them in.
Like the bell curve dude?
Yeah, like he straight up said, like, well, I mean, black people are more prone to violence. Like, look at the IQ stuff, it's because of that and stuff like that. And, I can go back historically, and that's not really the case. You can look at a whole lot of different other factors there. Like, poverty is always going to be a number one factor when it comes to, like, how violent, okay, so long story short, broad strokes, there's a lot of, and it doesn't take into account environmental factors that somebody has to go through.
None of them do.
None of them. It can't. There's no way that it can account for that. So when you have somebody say, well, let's take a baseline person who's, had like a certain type of lifestyle, things like that, but you have different people who have different types of lifestyle that's far off worse than somebody else. And I'm not even talking about necessarily black and white. There's poor people everywhere.
And if you did that, you'd have to have like a 50-page long pre-assessment if you wanted to take in all those environmental factors. Or spend time with them, like we were saying, time.
Yeah, time is a big factor there. So, and then on top of that, and something that you hit on the head, Lucky, earlier, is creativity. Like, a lot of IQ tests break down, like language is a factor. And one thing that I did notice is like, black folks, we have our own language, we have our own way of doing things, but what we did with the English language is something that was freaking incredible. Hip hop music, poetry, things like that. Coming up with stuff like that takes, no matter how you slice it, that takes a high amount of intellect, no matter which way you think about that. To take words, rhyming, and coming up with concepts based off of that is a high thinking talent. Maybe not all black folks can do that, but it's something that's that came from that group, that culture. If you think about things like what's the other parts, like spatial recognition and things like that. Like, okay, so I might not think, like, I've taken these tests before, I can tell you how I scored that, but it really doesn't matter. But I've been in like situations where I write tests and I do things like, and I take tests from other people, and I would be able to describe like, okay, well, you may have written this test like this, but here's how I translate your information. You might have said like, okay, this is the only way that somebody can look at this, but You might translate it one way. You might translate it
Exactly.
another way.
The
Somebody else
comprehension factor. I mean,
Yeah.
language is it's receptive, expressive, but it's also how someone receives it.
So being that we all viewed those videos, and maybe I guess, go in depth as far as watching the entire video on some of them.
Yep.
Some of the things that I guess I may have missed is one, does it bring me to the factor parenting? How the individual was brought up?
It doesn't.
Okay.
Familial
And then
stuff.
Yeah.
the other might be is, does your IQ have anything to do with how successful you are?
Actually, yeah, that is true. So what they would view an IQ test is like your percentages of being able to be successful in and being able to perform in a high performing arena, like being a doctor, being an engineer, going to a corporate meeting, and being able to function at the C-level type of situation, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they take tests like that and say like, well, based on this IQ test, this person is not able to perform at a high level like these individuals are, and which is dangerous because, right, when you take a kid like that's in high school, junior high, or this kid's getting ready to go on to a college or a private school, they use that against you for going to college. Like look at your SAT score, things like that, or what is this person doing here? So they want to tell you that, like, well, all these Harvard kids, these black kids are only getting into Harvard because they're black, and it's what do you call that thing that affirmative action. They want to put it on that.
But think about it, Gary. I mean, it goes. You talk about college, but think about it. It goes in other areas too. Like that's the reason why there weren't so many black quarterbacks in the NFL until basically our lifetime. I mean,
Yep.
They had to. There's like the combine, and they have this test they give them, like how can they think and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy, couldn't get drafted in the NFL, had to play for the New York Knicks, had to play basketball. Good thing he was a incredible athlete that could do that.
Yeah.
But Heisman Trophy winner wouldn't get drafted, and that was in our life. That was like I forget what year it was, but
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
The test probably
Because I don't know what
played into it. I don't know.
I have no idea if that's the case, but those are some things that worries me about when you say like this certain group of people is dumber than all of us. So how they treat us in society will be dictated by that. Like think about it. Like, okay, these people are dumb, so
You'll be seen through those lenses.
that's what lenses. So anytime when I go for a high level job and there's like somebody else that's gonna be there that's not that racist, like somebody will take that information and not even look at it and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna hire this guy because there's a higher percentage chance that this person has a better IQ than this person, or this person should be able to do the job better. That's dangerous.
Yes, it is.
That's freaking insanely dangerous.
So if you know that going into it, what would you suggest to combat that by going into that? Let's say, for instance, somebody is up for that type of job or going in for that, and they knowingly know, okay, I don't know,
I mean,
X, Y, Z person just walked in.
Like people been doing
and
for
they
years.
come out.
I mean,
Gotta be better. Gotta be on your game.
That's the thing. It's like it's always that individual is going to get the benefit of the doubt more than.
Yeah, but if you know the game, how can you play? How do you play it?
Oh, that's easy. Do what I do all the time anyway. So
Use your white voice, like sorry to bother you.
Excuse me.
I mean, I don't know if I have that voice. I probably do. It might just come out like naturally. I don't know because we do all have different voices and the way that we sound. Just to
Code switching.
Yeah, I wear glasses to disarm people because big swole.
I'm glad that you.
That's why they say wear glasses if you go to court.
So I'm glad you touched on that. So basically,
I want to answer the question first about that first question that you had. Like, what would I do? I mean, like for me, when I do interviews and things like that, I try to make it as much of a conversation as possible about my skill set because I already know that they see me. I got the dreads. I got I got the facial hair, stuff like that, and I got the natural resting fuck off face like some people have, and so I have to literally like break down stuff to people about my skill set, and I also have to bring in materials and things that showing you that hey, this is me actually doing this stuff. And then even with that, sometimes I'll get people that's like, well, I'm not sure if you did this or not. Can you do this project for me real quick? And like, let's see how you do with that. And
okay, so let's stay in that job area.
all right.
Okay. Alright. Based off your, you know what I'm saying, what you present, do you see this as a challenge for you? Like you're immediately just putting up a challenge for yourself, right?
No,
Challenge
and
No. If he's going in for an interview,
you talk about the hair. And
it's all of that.
All right, all the
And
stuff.
so, if it could be a challenge, let me ask you this then. Why would you want something else still in front of you that you have to go through?
Here's why I do it. Because I always look at it this way. If somebody doesn't want to hire me because of my style of hair choice, I don't want to be at that job anyway. If that's a stopping factor. If that's the number one stopping factor for them, off the top, I don't need to be at that place of employment. Because it's not only going to be
the
my
kind
hair.
of people that they, yeah.
It's not going to be just my hair at that stage. Like once I get in and all that stuff, it's going to be something else.
That's just their
Then they're going to
excuse.
be looking at something else. Then they're going to be looking at something else. And I'm always going to have to be on.
So take the test away, the IQ test away.
Yeah.
And so what are we dealing with then?
I mean, you're still dealing with like what
An individual's
Generalization.
insecurities.
generalizations, and that's what that IQ test and everything boils down to. It's like it's just more. It's another bullet in the ammo round, right?
Yeah.
It's another bullet in the clip. It's like that's something else that can shoot you down with. Like, well, I don't know this person because no job asks for what's your IQ score or anything like that. They don't ask that stuff, but they can look at you, they look at me,
They look
or
at
anybody.
social media.
They look at your social media and everything else, and say, well, based off of this, I think this person is this, which is a dangerous thing to do. Like, I have a 5-second conversation with people, like at job interviews or whatever, about what I do for a living, and, I can hang with them and even teach them some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. It's like, I literally have to prove my knowledge just by talking to folks. And you want to, and that's what, to me, that's more valuable than what you're going to get out of any IQ test or anything else.
Absolutely.
So, but wouldn't you suggest that that's what things should be based off of, is the individual proving who they are?
Yeah.
That would be the best case scenario.
I think everything should be based solely off of the individual versus like what some described score would be to take where you are. Like, they don't have to walk in the room. It's like if they see me and they see an Asian guy, they automatically assume that Asian person or Indian person automatically knows what I know that's not the case.
Right.
So how do you feel about like those, yeah, I ain't never liked them. I don't mind them, but those assessment tests that you get before going into a job that they hit you with, and most of them are just redundant questions that they continue to keep asking you throughout to see if your answers will change. I mean,
Don't they say those are to kind of, they have so many applicants to kind of weed people out, but really if it's a standardized thing, it's going to do the same thing the other ones do.
Well, now we just jump on the subject.
Because
about
you've probably been in a interview process when you interview somebody.
It is part of that. So a lot of those tests, they don't test really like how smart you are and how well you can do the job or anything like that. They really test. They want to test out your behavior, which is a terrible way of doing it with the
That's
test.
no way to test behavior.
No, it's not. And they're really looking for is like, well, if this person like feels this way about this, and then all of a sudden they're way over here on that, like maybe they're too extreme or whatever, how that test breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, I think it's BS. Like the best way to get to know somebody is like have a sit down face to face with them. But
It takes time. People don't want to take time.
I get it. It takes forever because you got like 60, 70 applicants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you have nobody reads resumes either. Okay. They'll take it through some machine and it just picks out keywords and things like that. Okay. And
Scantron your resume?
they Scantron your resume.
All that time?
Yeah, so what they'll do, they'll have the job rec on right here, and then they'll have your resume right here. And that's just the machine doing the stuff. And it really doesn't read your resume either. It just tries to find keywords that match the job description and to your resume and say if you're a match or not. Which is
vocabulary.
Which is a very bad way of doing that because there's synonyms, antonyms, and
Yes.
everything else in between. Like, for example, like with me, I do instructional tech. I have all these tools right here and what I do with it, and then there's different nomenclatures for all that stuff, depending on what company you're with and how you operate. So essentially, you have to do one or two things: either A, hope and pray to whatever guy that you have one that your stuff matches, or you have to read their job description and take your resume and matches it to it. It matches
the right jargon. I hate that.
And which is a pain in the butt because like you really shouldn't have to do that. Like there should be somebody saying, okay, this is related to that. Like, you know, machines can't do relations and stuff like that because it really doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how those things work. And it's really disingenuous that they do jobs and stuff like that, but they do that to save time.
Yeah.
And HR people think that it's like the best way of going about it to save time and get the best applicant for that position, even though that really is not the case.
So I think kind of like what Aaron just said.
So
Basically, that time. Those IQ tests are in place of time. They don't want to take the time.
Yeah.
They don't want to spend time.
It's lazy.
No individual.
and they made a deadline.
I'll say what it is.
Later,
I read, as I was looking at all those videos, I looked at all those videos from beginning to end. I tend to like, what, 5, 6, 7, a lot of them. Yeah. I looked at all of them for like weeks, months, and stuff like that. And me giving to y'all like 2 days in advance was not fair. I fully admit that. But as I looked at it, I noticed the same arguments every single time. All right, it's like, well, this is done by peer review. It's done by experts. It's done by people. This is the best thing that we have right now, and stuff like this. Is the things that they tell you.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you is that, like, okay, it might be the best right now, but is it the best that we could possibly do? And the answer is F no.
Never.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever have it.
I mean,
Unless people take time.
It is really hard to gauge somebody's like potential based off of a standardized exam. I mean, spatial reasoning. Like I can think about, like for example, spatial reasoning. It's like so they take shapes and things like that, and then like they'll flip it into certain patterns, and they'll hand it off to you, right? And I'm thinking like, well, I get it, but sure, but like think about how sports athletes work and stuff like that. They have to make split-second decisions based on what they see out and right in front of them, like fractions of a second. Like, for example, football, what cuts should I make in that fraction of a second? What, if I got a guard pulling here and this one, if he misses his block, what do I do then?
Yep.
Those are fractions of a second decisions that people have to make with their physical bodies all the time. And the point that I'm trying to get here,
Every job needs a job simulator.
Yeah.
VR.
Yeah, it's a lot more that you can test out with somebody's IQ, like how fast somebody thinks, how somebody can recognize something, not on something that's on a paper test or something that's on a computer test, anything like that. And you're talking to somebody who makes tests for a living. There's no way, like there's no physical way that you can 100% gauge somebody's potential based off of that, and without actually like sitting there in front of them and watching them do it and talking through it to them. So to see somebody say that, look, oh yeah, the IQ test is a very good way of seeing somebody's like potential or something like that. And I look at them like, okay, you're a sucker. Like that's all there is to it. There's no argument that we had.
And I don't think the test itself defines what life decisions that you could possibly make compared to what is on a piece of paper.
Yeah, and then that was another argument too. I saw a lot of people say, well, black people are really good at football and stuff like that, so they got the physical stuff, but I mean, we just got the brains. It's just what it is. I'm like, come on, bro. That's like I've met.
Black people still practice.
I've been to Japan. I've been to China. I've been to like Korea and places like that. Like, and based off of that bell curve, I should be in a world that I could not be able to function in.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was I a teacher there, but I was showing them things like not just showing them how to dance like in some fucking comedy movie or something like that. But it was more like showing them like, like here's how I do things. I respect your culture, stuff like that, and I can learn a lot of things from them. Master languages, talk to people, stuff like that. Intelligent conversations, not just like, hey, how are you doing and shit like that. Mm-hmm. This is like pedagogy, how to reach students better. Like I was coaching the debate team with Japanese kids. It's so you have this whole thing where like you look at the bell curve, like there's blacks over here and there's Asians over here, and I had to fight that too because they're like, oh man, you're really smart. It's like, no shit. Well, why the fuck you think they sent me here? It's not, and then
it's so surprised.
It's not a surprise to me, and let's be clear here. I've met plenty of Asian folks, and in terms of that IQ test of 100s here, they're over here too. There's no Asian person that's like in a high 90s or like. I mean, there are plenty of people that are, but what I'm saying is there are people that's below that, which
Yeah.
and the bell curve doesn't show that stuff. And it's not that they're getting dumber. It's just the fact that you got people who are all across the board.
Just they're people.
Yeah.
Can we just be people?
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and they'll say, well, the data shows that. And that's what they'll tell you. That's all. Or the data shows that. It's like, well, the data's fucking wrong because I literally just went there and I can disprove all that shit just by experience.
How was the data made? Like, you see the cake, but what was the ingredients?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's another thing. How did they make the test?
Yes.
Like, who decided that, like, oh yeah, this is a good way to decide?
Not just standardization, reliability. How was the test made? What went into that? Who went into that? Who did they test? Who did they test it on? At what time did they test? Like, all this stuff about kids. Like, hey, they were bad today. Well, did they get breakfast? Did they get enough sleep? Did they see their dad beat the hell out of their mom this morning?
It doesn't take it.
He's a bad kid. Sit in the back of the class. Send him to doggone detention. He's not bad every day. Why would he bad today?
Yeah.
It takes time. I don't want to do that. Send him to detention.
Yeah. And that's the point. And Tim, you hit it on the head, man. It's there's so many external factors when it comes down to how somebody performs on the exam that I don't think it's really fair to say that, like, oh, well, based off of this, everybody's going to be, like, you're going to lump this group here and lump this group here and lump this group there. It doesn't make any sense at all to do that. None. I think you had your water.
So how can that change?
How do you change?
How can that change?
What? What are we changing? What are we saying is going to change?
I'm saying, how can that change with the whole, you got people out there who, and I saw some of this in the comments that, one, scientists who are there to do those tests, people consider them either they are racist or so because they're wanting to do these and doing it on demographics and staying on what they seen.
Okay.
That's all.
I don't want to throw out the word.
Change that?
I don't really want to throw out the word racist, but I think
Biased?
I'm saying,
fine.
well, yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying what I saw in the comments.
Okay, I mean, I think some of those folks could be racist. Not gonna discount that, but and especially when you say like we shouldn't admit any black kids to Harvard and stuff like that because of what is it called again? Affirmative action. I'm like, see, I'm so not affected by affirmative action that I don't know what the fuck that is. Like, have you ever anybody at this table ever got a job because of affirmative action?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say affirmative action, but I will say I've been in my field. I've been the only male there because it's a female.
You're a medical teacher, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That works for me.
You work with kids, so yes, you're gonna be like the only guy there.
I've been, growing up in the burbs where I grew up, I've been the only black, but I wasn't chosen to go to that school. We moved there.
Yeah, and I don't think I've never been.
One time, yes.
I've never been in a situation where well, we got this guy and this guy, but we need another black guy. So let's go ahead and give you this job so we can.
When I was in third grade, they did that to me.
That's never fucking happened.
They're doing it in the NFL. The Rooney Rule.
Huh? The Rooney Rule? What the hell was that?
That's because they don't hire black head coaches. Hardly ever get hired. So there's a Rooney Rule. No matter even if you know who you're going to. You want to explain it?
No, you got it.
Even if you know who you want for the head coaching job, you have to take an applicant of color or interview someone of color, a person of color for that position, even if it's just a formality. That's the Rooney Rule. And also, I was picked for weather school in third grade because I was the only brown kid in the entire grade.
Oh, so they wanted to make you Al Roker? Is that what it was?
Yeah, because Mike Berger used to do weather school, and they said, I heard him while we were watching, to see what it is. I heard him say Tim. I heard him say my name a couple times. And I wasn't the best talker or anything. I was probably goofy as ever on there, but there weren't that many of us, so let him be on there.
I mean,
and I enjoyed it.
So
I moved to satellite.
All right, do I have to talk about affirmative action with this too? Because I can talk about it.
I have to. I mean, we're talking about it now.
Fine, fuck it.
What's cool, man? Mike Berger.
So fine, affirmative action. So the issue, government has a whole big issue about overcorrection.
But you know why they say they did it.
Yeah.
But is it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, everything has always been an overcorrection with government. No matter how you slice it. If you talk about, we can talk about, all three we can talk about this one, like men's rights and divorce and child support and all that shit. Like that's
man, don't talk about
that. Well, I ain't gonna talk about it. That's a different time. That's a different show for a different time. But that is an example.
Yep.
And that was from an overcorrection based off of something that was going on at that time period. So they were like, all right, well, if this was going on with this, so we really need to overhaul this and change that behavior.
Change behavior.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I guess you can make them with jail time and shit like that eventually, but at the end of the day, people are still going to do what they want to do. People are still going to, you know, do that behavior. They'll probably just find a different way of going about it. That being said, I mean, when it comes down to affirmative action, I don't. So what will happen is that between us three, it's not us that they're looking at. It would be a black female who they would want to put in that position because it fulfills more.
2 checks.
It'll check off
2 boxes.
Essentially, it checks off more boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that happens, I can't say that I'm mad at it because at one point in time, you know, black folks couldn't get in because they didn't want us in there. And it's like, all right, well, at least let us get in so we can prove ourselves. Mm-hmm. And people will drop out, people will fail and stuff like that, just like white people too, or Asian people. Even Asian people fail out too. I've seen that too.
Happens.
It happens. So, yeah, this is talking about the collegiate level.
Yeah.
Even in Harvard, whatever. I've seen it all with all races across the board. They'll get in, they'll underperform, and they'll wash out. That happens across the board. Seen it everywhere. So it has nothing to do with that's another thing too. I wanted to bring about like, okay, so IQ is one thing. Then you got like stuff like EQ. And then you have like stuff like, you know, determination, grit, stuff like that, hard work.
What's EQ?
EQ is emotional
Quotient.
Yeah. So essentially like gauging people how they feel and shit like that. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I might have a high, like me, I have a pretty high IQ, but my EQ, I really don't give a shit about what you think at all.
Yeah, I think I noticed that. But
It's good.
Sold out over.
So yeah, very good when it comes to like the introspective, but like looking at other people and trying to gauge what that is, not so great. I give that to y'all. Y'all can have that. You guys get the crown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not that good at gauging people either. It takes some time. But...
That's another.
Or I'm oblivious. Huh?
That's a different.
I'm gonna tell you, with having it has to be an equalness of both. You know,
I think
you need both.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm only good.
You can have so much of this, but
I'm only good.
So much of this here is going to take hold sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm only good at EQ when it pertains to my job. Personal life, can't do it.
Yeah, you can use it for the right circumstances, I guess.
I ain't buying that shit.
You know what? You've seen Sol Dout be, you know.
Like, you know.
So look, it's one thing to see someone.
Empathetic even sometimes.
You know, it's one thing to see someone, but I tend to be the more the one that's more so spiritual. I didn't say religious. I said spiritual. It's one thing for me to see him, but in all actuality, I can pick up on how he actually may feel. That's something I've never told you, but I'll pick up on it.
Did that come from being around him and getting to know him, or is it like, well, that just say that's just?
No, it's like a gift that I've gotten over time.
But some people
where it's I can measure the energy in the room and pick up on what's either, okay, this person right here is vibrant, and then someone else is, there's something on them.
Yeah.
There's days where I can tell when this in a damn good mood. Mm-hmm. It's there. And then there's days that I can tell over time there's something troubling you, but you're not going to say it.
I
agree.
Great. So you can read me, that's fine, but I don't give a fuck about what you think. I don't care.
It's all front.
It's not a front. I really don't care.
We had a group hug before we started this podcast.
You can say, I understand you may not care on the home front. But at the end of the day, you would have to go and deal with you. Yeah. What you're feeling internally. So yeah, you're left with yourself. You can tell me, you can tell him, you can tell us anything you want. At the end of the day, you are left to deal with your own self.
Great. So we talking about psychology here. We talking about.
I'm just saying.
We're kind of getting into that. Where's the couch at?
So, we want to have a couch session. I'm not doing
How
that.
the hell did we end up in a table with no food?
We
Are you
be
hungry?
snacking, that's why.
Well, fine.
All
I'll get food next time. I gotta get food for the party.
right, so let me ask you this. All right, so
Orders.
look. So I viewed the most strange thing. I still cannot wrap my mind around what I saw. Okay.
Okay.
But kind of like what I was asking you guys a little early on before we got on camera is, do you believe that people can be cloned?
Yeah.
You talking about like okay? Well, there's
I remember what I said. What do you
two factors with that. Like you talking about like like if I can take samples of your DNA, produce another you.
Right.
Well, it would be a copy of you, like but if you make a copy of a copy, it's not the exact same thing.
Half-life type of thing?
Yeah. So a copy of a copy is still copy of a person is still gonna be. It's gonna be different. It's not gonna be the exact same.
I still can't wrap my mind around this shit. I don't know if. So the video I saw, I just used this one individual. There's others compared to what they're saying out there. And yes, this world is full of conspiracies all over. If you want to go so far down that rabbit hole, great. But so from what I saw.
Is there a tethered lucky somewhere?
And I don't know. It made me think about it, but there has been more than one. I'm gonna use this one guy for this, but there has been more than one Michael Jackson. There's been more than one. That is not. What
you mean like Usher? Wait. Do you mean like Usher made a copy of Michael Jackson and Chris Brown?
So from what I saw. To be successful here within this country, it's measured. Like you can only get so far unless you have to be, I guess, you have to be basically approved by a certain, I guess, committee. Yeah. Let's say the committee is huge. Okay.
I've seen some stuff.
And so one individual per se, Mike. Over time, remember. Okay, he got his head burned, right?
Yeah.
Pepsi commercial.
Right. I mean, I had to think about it too. We didn't see Mike for 2 years.
That was 2 years. I mean,
yeah,
it was 2 years.
After Off the Wall, they did the Jacksons
and
tour.
His album didn't come out until 1989. Bad.
That was 89.
Yes.
He did some stuff with the Jacksons. They did some touring together, right? That's when they made Can You Feel It and stuff like that. But him himself.
Yeah, he didn't come out.
You're talking about how Off the Wall Michael Jackson don't look nothing like bad Michael Jackson.
Over
and
time.
it's more than just the hair that changed.
Yeah, keep thinking about it. Over time.
You know what? Who else is like that? Dave Chappelle.
I've seen stuff about that too.
Dude, I mean, think about it. Like, he was like this really skinny dude. All of a sudden, like he's like this big old swole comedian. All of a sudden.
His voice is different, but
his
smokes
voice
all the time. So
yeah, he does smoke all the time too. So I've seen that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to send this thing.
I don't know. Wait. So I don't prescribe that there's a way that you can clone somebody and then there'll be the exact replica of that.
They said they Gucci Man too.
It's not the exact replica. That's because over time there starts to become some type of default, like you said. It can't be the real individual, so there's a default.
So to answer your question, I think that it may someday be possible if it's not already. But if that was ever to happen, like Sol Dout was saying, you could make a living, breathing being. But I don't think it will never be a person if it's not the.
So
there's more to us than
they say. From what I saw from the video here is that they have Mike, right?
Yeah.
It ain't the same looking Mike, so they create another one. The reason why they want to create another one because they have to continue to make money off this person, and we need him to be.
So the model got messed up in the fire. So no, we need a new Mike. Or
Yes, it can't be the
maybe
same.
they made those sparks hit his Jerry curl so they can get them.
But okay, so
let's dig.
From what I saw is they said that it messed him up as bad to the point where he was unrecognizable.
Burns.
And they still needed to make money off this individual, so they created another mic. I'm not, dude, trust me.
It didn't burn his
I
face.
scratched my head until I couldn't scratch no more. I'm like, are you
He's got vitiligo.
What? Oh,
It didn't touch his face.
like you can't.
But they from it could be a possibility because of the oil and shit he had in his head,
How
right?
the hell can you create
Like a
another
Mission Impossible.
human being? And that and
Just
two,
live-
boy, it was like what? It was 2 years since we've seen Mike again, or that's what you
Yes.
said.
It was
How do you
2
create?
years.
How do you create another human being in
Randy,
2
you
a
may
grown
know.
human being in 2 years? I don't see that.
You cook them.
They got a lab, man.
What
and
kind of shit is
I'm
that?
just saying what I saw, okay? They said this is almost similar to like
No.
like what you would see in like that movie Hostel or something.
They
It's
trained the
called.
tether, Michael.
Right.
No.
I mean, but I was in
Took the
agreement
scissors
too.
away,
I thought
gave
the
him a
same thing. I said, look, if you take somebody else's DNA,
Nah.
and because Mike looked white here, if you was to take his DNA, that means the replica is going to be the exact same the way he came out.
Uh-huh.
Which
Then
was
he starts white.
dark, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he had no DNA.
And nappy hair. So they knew where they had it, could have gotten to that. That's what I was saying.
So it's like a defective clone?
So essentially,
It ended up being
so essentially the
like
clone.
you see his nose all fucked up and no
So
chin
it
and
was-
shit.
so-
Those were different mics. They were all different.
Oh my god.
They were different, but I don't know if they were.
It wasn't the same mic,
Different
man. They were different. They were different
Looks.
mics. Okay?
Beauty's only skin deep. It's only the outside.
We got it.
His voice sounded the same.
Oh my god.
So, get this. Whenever Mike passed,
So you saw
on
that.
Larry King, they had a little boy, or he was a little boy at the time. Whenever Mike burned his head, right, got his head burned, there was this little boy that he took in who was severely burned as well, right? And the little boy's name
Where's this
was I got it. Trust me, I got it for you. The little boy's name was Dave.
Okay, Dave.
Dave. That was the little boy's name.
His name was two
Dave
days.
Square?
Yes.
Dave
But
Square.
check it out. Watch this. This is weird. Nobody never heard what Lil Dave sound like. He's never been on camera. This was the first time Dave ever got on camera. Okay? Check what. Follow me.
No.
Follow me. This
No.
was on Larry King, right?
No.
So whenever Mike passed, they
No.
had listen. They had Dave
I'm just waiting to see where it's going.
on the show. And so when they interviewed Dave, guess who everybody is insinuating who Dave really was?
A clone of Mike.
No, it was the real Michael Jackson.
Holy
Cause
shit.
his skin was
Where did it
switch? That was the real one because his skin was literally messed up as that bad from whenever he originally got burned. That was the real one.
Now I'm lost. So you're saying
He had literally Dave had Mike's voice. He sounded just like Mike. His etiquette was just like Mike. And if you was to look into his eyes, you could be like, God damn, that's Mike.
See, now I'm gonna look this stuff up just out of curiosity.
Man, look, Larry King
Even though it sounds like
interviewed
complete-
Dave, Michael Jackson's death, and it will show you this
Why
severely
did he
burnt
ever
guy.
Dave? Well, who's the?
Because
is he like?
I just said that. So when Michael was young,
How did he get on
around
Larry
the
King? I
time
can't
whenever
get
Michael
it.
did, around the time before Michael got burned, Mike was introduced to a little boy who was severely burnt
Yeah, but how did he get on Larry King? How did he get that gig?
because they wanted to interview Dave. Because he knew Mike, they interviewed everybody. They even interviewed Mike's bodyguards. Trust me, I was thinking the same thing while I was watching. That's the same
What
facial
the
expression.
fuck, man?
But I thought it was far-fetched too. But it just was strange. It was really odd. Like, damn, that dude sounded exactly like Mike. He sounded just like Mike. If you was looking at his
Imitation's
eyes.
the best form of flattery.
Man,
If he
look.
stayed with Mike, he probably absorb some hell and be like this.
It can't get that
I
damn
want
close. It
these,
was just
man,
weird.
man,
It
drinking
was
Gatorade.
So
weird.
did Dave look like a white woman? Is that what you're trying to say?
Dave was severely burnt. Here.
Okay, got
Here.
it.
Black burn?
Here, yes. Some of his pigment was black, and some of it was just kind of like it was pale because he didn't burn. But that was all in regards to say that's the same
Burning does
shit.
not change your melanin.
But that was the same shit that happened to Mike. That's what Mike actually ended up looking like, but he couldn't put his stuff back out there because he couldn't make no money off of that.
I thought he only got burnt in the head. Like, like right
I'm with you.
in his hair.
I'm with you.
I thought the activator grease got on fire and that was that.
I'm
That's
with you,
what
but
that was.
they said it severely burnt him. It burnt all through here. Now, if you recall, if you recall, whenever they did roll him out, they didn't show his face. They showed this, and he was waving like that. You know what I'm saying? That was it. All right. And then think about it. On the show, while Dave was talking, you could see his fingers were burnt. And then over time, why the fuck did we always see Mike with a goddamn glove on? But that was the same thing.
And sometimes he taped his fingers because
But that's what I'm saying. That got burnt too from him trying to pat. And he did. It did go back to whenever he did get his hair on fire. It did show his hand that he was trying to hit his head with it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, bro. I'm trying to connect the dots too. Okay.
He didn't wear no tape on the not the Destiny tour, but the what was the name of that tour? The Jackson. He didn't wear no tape on that.
Nature?
No, the tour that he did with his brothers after Motown 25 when they came back together.
He had tape on it.
Stop.
But that wasn't.
But after Motown 25, he already changed himself. So the Jackson's tour that he did after, was that before or after Off the Wall?
So
when Randy and Jermaine was in there all together.
So look, that's just Mike. But they saying
that was after. Bad. No, that was after Thriller. You forgot about Thriller. Thriller came out before Bad.
Yeah.
And he looked semi-different on Thriller, then super different on Bad.
Exactly. That's when they.
So that kills the whole Dave argument because Thriller was a Thriller.
No. They already had clone Mike.
You can't
Thriller, then Jackson's tour, then Bad.
All right, so y'all. I'm gonna put this to bed right now. All right, y'all remember that little sheep that they cloned? Dolly the sheep. And how long did it take for them to develop Dolly the sheep, the clone sheep?
It took them a while, yeah.
It took them a fucking long time to do that. You can't do that in 2 goddamn years.
Look, they said they've been cloning people since 1945. 1945, they've been cloning people.
But what? Test tubes, beakers, and
all types of
I mean, either way, they
don't know that much about DNA.
No, but the thing is that you still have to develop that embryo or whatever they create into a female body to develop and all that other stuff.
If you do it with the dolly.
If you do it with the dolly.
But if you do the DNA way, like Black Mirror way, where they take your DNA.
Okay,
back then.
Wait. We're not talking about Black Mirror because that's a TV show. I'm talking about like how they were successful in cloning people.
Was messed up.
The best way they were able to do that, they would take all the DNA, whatever. I don't know how that shit works. I'm not going to pretend to know. But what they did was they put that DNA into something and put it into a different sheet and clone Dolly. And create Dolly.
You're talking about actually. We're not talking about Black Mirror.
No.
Go ahead.
No,
yes, they did. They put it into it.
They actually had to they actually had to develop that
and it had to grow
and grow it just like it was another.
All that stuff.
Yeah, it had to like grow like another human being.
That same way, but they said that they could develop a human to where it was back to the clone and less.
And then on top of that, I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to just to kick that theory.
Manhattan Project.
Just kick that theory down real quick. How would it develop the memories and experiences that the real Michael Jackson had, though? That's no way. Unless it's just like, what do they do? Like, sit in a room for like, I don't know how many years after they made Michael Jackson and just like put like stuff over his eyes and run up.
Take his eyelids up. Yeah. I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying that's.
I mean, there's no fucking way.
About the same shit until you literally gotta watch that shit, and I was like, that's possible.
You can't download memories and the mind into something.
So that's the part that I'm leaving out. I didn't grasp that entirely.
Like on Black.
You can view that and see that for yourself, or where they speak of that part.
They wouldn't have the same memories and things like that. That's all.
From what I was reading. They said this is the same shit to where
Rick and Morty shit.
No, this is the same shit to where
I need to watch that.
This is the reason why Bernie Mac got killed, because they exposed it to him, they showed it to him, and
they say that's why they kill off folks. Like Prince was completely. I ain't on the Dave with you. I'm saying. I hope people say that's why Prince got taken out. That's why the record was over. They say that's why he did. That's why what's the organic guy, Dr. Wesley Snipes. No, that just rhymes with. I'm sorry. All right.
Oh, you talking about the holistic guy?
Yeah.
Dr. CB?
I was way off.
I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, CB.
Yeah, but they took Dr. CB out because he holistically was able to cure people. He found cures through natural.
Yeah, we're talking about mucus and all that stuff.
Yeah, he naturally knew how to cure somebody.
They didn't like.
So they didn't like that, one, because they didn't already monetize him. Two, dude, you gonna kill the whole medicine industry. You make money off of this.
You talk too much, they take you out. That's what they say. Nick Cannon better watch out.
But even in the video,
what the
sometimes
he talks about.
Even in the video, I was watching. They said the Tupac,
Yeah.
that wasn't the real Pac. That got killed in the car.
Oh.
That wasn't the real one.
And we had a theory about that. He's like on Lyrical Island with all.
Well, he got
Or underground.
Yeah, they said he was underground. All other.
Again, I'm not Dave. I don't believe all this, but I've heard it.
But okay, so if it's not believable, why would there even be that? Why would that be out there?
Because people try to explain stuff. Because people try to explain stuff. I don't know. Lucky.
That's what I'm saying. If something's not believable to you, why would it be out there? Where there's the little bit of smoke.
People fill in the puzzle if they're missing pieces.
I'm gonna tell you because of what you just said. Because a little bit of smoke.
They smoking that.
That's exactly why they came up with that shit. Just a little bit of smoke.
Bro, you think like they put him underground or something, man? Like, for real, he's not the real. No, it's not Pac, man. Right.
He's still making new albums after we speak. He's gonna
He
come out
got
with a whole
those Jordans on though in the video.
Yeah, come on, man.
Famous people can get stuff before it comes out. I realized that when I was never famous.
Yeah.
So also in that video, they said that
Oh.
the CIA
We still
controls the entertainment industry, and there's a reason why you see certain movies talk about that type of stuff because they sprinkle a little bit of that.
They can
out
say
there.
it in
But why would they though?
See, I thought that same thing. Why would you want to disclose that shit? No, because
so they can say that they never lied to us.
Right.
No, that's not.
not,
That's
well,
movies
not that. Well,
Let me scoot over here because
I don't know how we got
I'm
here.
getting close to this.
I want to know. I want to know
You're trying to
how.
make me Dave.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell did we get
the
here?
video, man. I'm telling you. Once I see y'all the
You done mess around and watch the
and
documentary.
we can do it on show too. I'm telling you, once y'all watch the video, it's like.
we don't need a Dave.
I know you gonna at first. I know you gonna be like, "This is a crock of shit." You gonna want to turn it off? No. Watch
The real show ended.
I'm
This
telling you.
recording is not.
I mean, if they making people like that, I want to see the damn lab. That's what I'm going with. I mean, yeah, I want to see the lab.
That's what he said. Then they took Bernie Mac to that lab and showed him, and he was like, "Okay, look, if you want to be, as famous as you want to be, that's when we started giving you your TV show. We started getting other movies besides just the regular black people.
Bernie
You
Mac.
start being more than just a comedian." This is what's down here. This is what, so we can thrive off of you. We're going to actually make you a clone. So, boom, he saw that. He felt it from within, like, damn, man, this shit ain't right. I want to speak. Because the rest of the four kings of comedy, they are aware of it too. And when he went back to go tell them, hey, man, I'm going to have to talk. I'm about to tell somebody. Steve and D.L. Hughley and Cedric went and snitched on his ass and told them that, hey, yo, he getting ready to tell.
All right,
boom.
all right.
That's when they killed his ass. They killed Bernie, man. They killed Bernie.
But he had on the show. He had a show after all that, but he got a show.
No, he got a show because he went to them.
Oh, so he could only keep watching so long. I ain't Dave. Go ahead.
No.
Spin the topic wheel. Where's the topic wheel, man? Let's talk about
No.
lactose intolerance or something like that, man. We gotta get off this because I'm gonna watch that damn Dave.
You know what? I'll humor you. I'll watch the video, but I think it's complete.
You and me.
It's complete.
I'm saying
It's complete.
It ain't even something that I said that I believe in,
But that's one of many things people come
I'm
up
calling
with.
complete bullshit on that. No.
I figured you would, but watch it. And like I said, when you watch it, because something doesn't logically make sense to you, think, could it actually possibly be? And think,
and after I poke holes in it like Swiss cheese, would you get off of this shit?
No.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you to just look at it. I didn't say that I believed in it. I'm just saying the possibilities of it happening.
So you're just explaining to us what you saw. You're not saying that you're.
I told you. I couldn't fathom even wrap my mind around it. I'm like, but damn, this is some crazy shit.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of.
But the Dave thing is gonna trip you out. I'm telling you, man.
All right.
That was my.
When you impose, put a Dave counter, see how many times we say Dave. Because now I'm gonna be thinking that all the way home.
Fair enough. All right. God, what the fuck was that?
IQ. That's exactly.
Yeah, we were talking about IQ, and I
I
felt like I lost like 3 points with that conversation. All right, so gentlemen, I thought you had something to add. No,
About.
I thought you wanted to talk about something.
Oh, I was playing bass earlier.
That's right, you were playing bass guitar.
I almost played the first part of a
All right,
song.
nobody cares.
I'm a musician now.
All right, fine, fair enough. All right, cool. So, that being said, let's recap and minus whatever the fuck he was talking about. I don't know.
See how you want to discredit me? Didn't he say at the beginning of the show,
Nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table, but man, that was.
bash anyone.
I'm not bashing you. I'm not bashing. No. I'm not bashing you. But I'm bashing that topic.
Sorry to bother you, white boys, right there. You're trying.
I'm not bashing you. I'm bashing the topic though, because I had no idea where the fuck that came from.
So you broke your own rules, you know what I'm saying?
No, I break all.
yes.
That's fireworks.
Cool. I don't know.
Anyway,
You know I've been warm.
You got the strap?
Almost snapped into. I'm good.
alright, cool. Guess we're good.
My back gotta be facing.
Fine. I would. You know what? Fine. Fuck it. I'll do research on your topic. I'll do it. I'll look at it. I'll watch the video because I heard the same thing about Dave Chappelle. I thought that was bullshit too. I mean, the guy's been gone for 10 years.
They
so
say Cat Williams that's why he had his setback because he was talking too much. They ain't killing him.
Nigga said that he was crazy.
Oh, him.
No.
Is that why he ain't got the
Look,
ball?
the video even goes into depth, even about us being chipped. They already was going towards that anyway.
Oh my god.
I ain't never getting chipped.
You ain't never heard that they were going towards that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm about to say, bro.
Alright.
That's what Bill Gates been on this entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they do that, some people say that's the mark of the beast. But even if even if they did chip you, it's not.
Look, man.
Go ahead and sit out.
This country
It wouldn't be the mark unless they say you can't buy or sell with it and the rapture happened everywhere. All right, go ahead. Already. Timeline.
I don't even know where to pick up at.
Dave, rapture, IQ. That's where we did the whole circle, man.
Yeah. 3 more points and just left my IQ there. 3 more. Alright, so yeah. Alright, there we go. Alright, cool.
Pop the cork. That was the first show. Great job. Really enjoyed it. Sold out.
Well, I enjoyed the show. Alright, guys.
I did too, man.
I did. I think I did.
Thank
So
you guys.
I'm glad you guys came on, had a great talk, including the last one. I'll joke about it all day, every
Talking
day.
is good, yeah.
It was good. It was good. So we'll come back next week, every week, until people get tired of us and tell us to stop. Even then, I'll probably keep on doing it. There'll be 1 million episodes, 1,000,001 episodes.
Damn right.
Yes, 3 million episodes until people know who the hell we are. So we never did do this though. Like, who the fuck are we? What do we do? And all that great stuff. I mean, I know.
So I'll jump this off, man.
Go ahead, man.
Like I said, man, my name is Luck. An individual who's built his own brand off of just inspirational things and just motivation in life. Got aspirations to be a life coach. Looking out to help others to find their soul purpose and what to do in life in this lifetime. So with that, man, like I said, I've built a brand for myself. I'm going to be writing a book sometime in the future. Looking forward to that.
About how everybody was cloned and everything. I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
Man, make the rules and break his own rules. I think it's that damn liquor eater, man. Who knows?
But
in a
I
nutshell,
didn't make fun of him though. That's what I said. I never called you a name. Attack the idea, never the man. That's my rule.
That's for off camera when you call them.
Yeah.
We call each other names all. It's okay. But not on this show. We have rules.
But yeah, in a nutshell, like I said, man, I'm a individual with an open mind that seeks nothing but life and opportunity out there, buddy.
Cool.
Tim, tell them who you are, man.
Yes, I'm Tim. I'm
Or
Aaron.
And Banderas.
I'm both. Yeah, Aaron Banderas.
This show's gonna get edited.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
What do I say about myself? I known Sol Dout. I've known Lucky since high school. Of course, we grew up together and everything. We've done different projects, done things together. My passion. I love filmmaking, so I do a lot of that. We reconnected through our mutual love of the creative aspect of entertainment, stuff like that. So it's good to be here. Thanks for allowing me to be in front of a camera instead of behind it. It's great to be here, guys.
Always. And much appreciated to both of you guys. Again, I'm Sol Dout, your anti-social social theorist. And I'll be bringing in new episodes with these guys as many times as they want to, or without Doesn't matter. So tune in every week, probably every Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't decided yet. And yeah, that's it, man. Thank you guys very much for tuning in.
See y'all
Later.